Hey, what's up guys? John here. A smart person sees things for how they truly are, and everyone else sees things for how they want them to be. I typed this quote into Google to find out who issued this quote, and the first suggestion says, people also ask, what are the characteristics of an intelligent person? A highly intelligent person is one who's flexible in their thinking and can adapt to changes. I'm going to lay out a set of what I believe are the guidelines to this epic crash and what's likely going to happen. And I'm very open to a discussion or a dialogue as to if you agree or disagree. But what I'm going to lay out is all non-negotiable. This is what is happening right now. This is why this collapse is going to be probably somewhere around 90%. It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be way worse than 2008, way worse than 1929. It's going to be horrific. I'm not saying that to push fear. I'm just looking at the data. This is what it says. It says we're in for some really, really rough times ahead. But if you disagree, drop it below and let's have an educated conversation about it. Please smash that like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube's going to share this content to educate more people as to what is really going on behind the scenes. Please smash that like button. Let's begin. I was under contract to buy a triplex in St. Petersburg, Florida last week. And this property, I was excited about it. It was 2 blocks from the ocean on one side, 2 blocks from the bay on the other side. It was a key location, great amenities, great restaurants, bars, everything you could just walk to. I was either going to Airbnb it or lease it long term. I'm like, you know what, this would make some cash flow, and I would just simply hold it. It makes sense just to hold it. But what's interesting is now FEMA's 2.0 rating that just came out October 1st, that almost 99% of everybody doesn't know about it yet. Well, this new rating is going to greatly increase the cost of home ownership in all of these areas, which is essentially all the desirable areas, Florida, California, even Tennessee, these prime areas. Well, the homeowner's policy went from $1,400 before this came out to now $3,000 selling it to me. And my insurance rep says it's going to $6,000 in 3 years. You think about what that does to the property's desirability when you're paying that much for insurance. It's a real big problem. And I took this up with the agent and I said, hey, look, if the values are going to be going down due to this increased cost, I want a price reduction to take on this risk or I'm not interested. And he's like, well, why would you get a price reduction for this? I said, well, the extra $300 a month that I'm going to be paying initially, that would be as if I took out a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 3% on an $80,000 loan amount. That's as if I'm paying $80,000 more for this property based on FEMA's new guidelines. And he said, oh no, you're playing futures. You're trying to invest based on the future. And I said, anyone with half a brain is going to be investing based on the future. And that's what's coming. These new guidelines. Then when we look at what's going on right now with Biden, he says that buildings account for nearly 40% of U.S. energy consumption and the same share of CO2 emissions. Biden proposes a two-pronged strategy to slash emissions from this sector. One, decarbonize the electricity delivered to homes and businesses, which he aims to do by 2035. So as they increase the cost of insurance, now they're going to increase your responsibility of the homeowner in the name of climate change. So first and foremost, we're going to have food prices skyrocket to levels that we simply can't imagine. I could tell you, but I believe that this gentleman has more experience. I'm going to let him tell you exactly what he sees happening inside of his industry.
Between 9 and 12 months from now, if not sooner, you're going to see that your food costs you 30 to 40% more. So if you have the ability to go buy canned goods or frozen goods or other items that are shelf stable, I would tell you, go buy them. Go buy them now. And I don't mean go hoarding or something like that, but just to save yourself some money, go to the grocery store, buy those items that you like and that you use, and put them away and save yourself some money. Why is this happening? Well, it's happening because our costs are increasing so much. This misnomer that it's 3% is absolutely that. Our costs are up 40%. It might be 35%, but they're up significantly. And up to now, we've had contracts committed on stuff like onions outbound, so we couldn't raise our prices. Those contracts, they're coming to an end, which means we're allowed to reset the contracts, which we're going to have to do because we'll go broke in a year if we don't actually reset those prices. So go out, buy the items, save yourself some money, and take this little piece of advice. See ya.
So we're going to have rising costs with simple day-to-day foods beyond levels that it's going to really push people over the edge. That's number one. Number two is this new mandate that's going to be likely passed in this infrastructure bill that will greatly reduce the amount of people that are able to work. And if workers are unable to work and unemployment rates climb up and food costs increase, what's likely going to happen? Well, this. Federal fines for failing to enforce $700,000. Buried in page 168 of the House Democrats' 2,465-page mega bill is a tenfold increase in fines for employers that willfully, repeatedly, or even seriously violate a section of the labor law that deals with hazards, death, serious physical harm to their employees. The increased fine on employers could run as high as $70,000 for serious infractions and $700K for willful and repeated violations, almost $750,000 for each fine. If enacted into law, the enforcement could bankrupt non-compliant companies even more quickly than the $14,000 OSHA fine anticipated under Biden's announcement. This is going to be a big problem. 40% of the workforce right now, so far they haven't done it. So what is that likely going to do? It's going to push a lot of people to the unemployment line. But it gets a lot worse. We look at what Israel has just announced yesterday. New York Times right here. Israel will require this to be considered fully. So what is this going to do? A lot of people that have so far stepped up and said, okay, I'll do it. Let's go ahead. Let's move forward. There's going to be less people that will likely line up again. And if that happens, more people will go to the unemployment line. So it's an erosion of the frontline workers for all workers. We're looking at what the USA Today announced yesterday, or actually today. No cheap, easy, or quick fix hospitals oust. This is all 50 states they're getting ready for. So all these frontline workers, they're going to be out. Most of them that don't comply. So what is that going to then look like? And how will this continue to grow into a problem? Well, here's where it starts getting really crazy. A massive problem that's coming is if these mandates hit all the police departments in America. We're seeing police chiefs, we're seeing entire departments walking away from the job simply over these mandates. If this does happen, we look at the real numbers, 696,644 police officers in America. If the same 40% of the general public say no in the police department, we could have 200,000+ police officers walk from the job, closer to 250,000 police officers. Imagine what would happen in the big cities if you have less cops and you have economic hardship and people are not getting in trouble for the crimes. Crime's going to be rampant. It's going to be out of control. That's a big, big problem. The same with firefighters, the same with all of these industries. If they're not there helping and protecting and preserving the communities are going to turn into a jungle. Kamala Harris made a statement today saying that if you want to buy your children gifts for Christmas, you better buy them right now because of the supply chain disruption that's happening that we don't see just yet, but it is happening. Here's what she said.
Caution that if you want to have Christmas toys for your children, it might be the time to start buying them because the delay may be many, many months. So across the board, people are experiencing the issue. And of course, the climate crisis is fueling a lot of this.
So she's saying that it's because of climate change. She's saying that it's because of climate change. Could be. Maybe she's right. But here's what is happening right now. If you go to marinetraffic.com and you see all of these ships at sea. And these ships, they're unable to deliver their products because of America's new standard for them to actually facilitate these deliveries. These new requirements, they're testing all of the requirements, it's making it very challenging. For example, I've heard that if one person tests positive on side of this ship, then that ship has to be quarantined and it can't move and no deliveries can happen. So you have all of these ships simply sitting on the sidelines, unable to deliver goods and services. And all of these items are going to greatly impact small business. It's not going to impact Walmart. It's not going to impact Target, because these companies are issuing their own delivery systems through their own ships. So what we're going to have here is a major disruption in our supply chain, and it's going to dampen confidence levels, consumer confidence in America, and it's going to happen very soon. A former Google exec, and this isn't just him, many articles simply saying the same thing: between 25 and 50% of the overall workforce will be replaced by AI and robotics in the next 15 years. But what's fascinating here is that what's happened inside of the last 18 months is only going to fuel the fire for AI, for robotics, and this is only going to cut that timeline even faster. So we're going to have this happen a lot faster than 15 years. This article is 2019. So now it's, early 2030s. This might all happen in the next 7 to 8 years. But the timing, as this continues with the worker shortage that they're likely going to have underneath all these mandates, what's going to happen is these companies are going to be looking more into robotics, trying to fulfill those voids inside of their business models. Kai-Fu Lee, a venture capitalist who used to develop artificial intelligence for both Microsoft and Google, told CBS 60 Minutes that AI will displace 40% of the world's workers within 15 years. I believe AI is going to change the world more than anything in the history of mankind, more than electricity. That's absolutely frightening. That's absolutely frightening. When we look at the real estate bubble that's happening right now, how high stocks are, how high everything is, it's as if nothing can go wrong when everything is about to go wrong. And the final big problem, this real big problem that I see happening, is this new pay per mile tax. People don't think so much of it because it's not here yet. It doesn't seem real. A lot of people will say, oh, well, I have an older car, this won't matter so much. A lot of states have a mandate saying that by 2030 or 2035, they're no longer allowed to sell cars in that state. And now they're putting ethanol and things in gasoline that may not do a great thing for your vehicle long term. A lot of people might have to switch over to an electric car. How does someone afford to switch over to a $20, a $30, a $40,000 new car when they're losing their job and the economy is upside down? I totaled a Tesla on 95 in Miami about 2 weeks ago, hydroplaning. I was driving straight, going about 60 miles an hour on the freeway. It wasn't raining, but it just finished raining, and there was a little lift, and the car hydroplaned, went about a 180-degree turn into a guardrail. No one was injured, thank God, and the car was totaled. And honestly, I wasn't really too upset about it, because the car was a pain. Charging it was just a lot to deal with. And now the whole world's going to be on this new electric type of system where everyone's going to be charging their cars. When you have the increased cost of the vehicle, and then Biden right now is trying to issue this new actual mileage tax. They say that it's just a voluntary thing, but it's not going to be voluntary. We all know that. Biden tax increases and refers to driving tax. The screenshot shows bullets saying per mile user fee estimates at 8 cents per mile and amounts to, vary depending on vehicles. Text above the screenshot, just to put it into perspective, if you drive 26,000 miles per year at 8 cents, that's $2,000. Now get mad, but the Biden admin has not proposed such a mileage tax as the image falsely suggests. What has been proposed is a pilot program that would study the mechanics of such a tax, said Andy Winkler, Director of Infrastructure Projects at the Bipartisan Policy Center. The program, a national motor vehicle per mile user fee pilot, is included in the infrastructure package still before Congress. It is not a tax. It is not on everybody, and it's voluntary. This is where they're going, though. So it's going to be more expensive for food. It's going to be more expensive for home ownership with insuring your properties. It's going to be more expensive electrifying the properties and doing everything that Biden wants to do. It's going to be more expensive for food. There's going to be less job opportunities. What's going to happen? That's the question. How can these insanely high real estate prices maintain? How can the stock market maintain. It can't, because what's going to happen? Everyone thinks they're rich because of what's happening right now in the economy. But no one has any real wealth because it's all an illusion. Until you actually make a sale on stock or on real estate and have the cash in hand, it's not really real. Look at the stock market over the last week and a half. Everything has been slowly coming down. And I believe we're going to see a lot of problems coming very, very soon in this economy. But if you disagree, I'd love to have an educated conversation with you about it. Tell me why you disagree and why you think the economy is going to do well over the next 6 months or 12 months. I see a big crash and I see it coming fast. Drop your comments below, smash that like button, subscribe here, consider subscribing on my second channel, my personal channel. I'm going to leave the links hidden down below in the top comment. I'll see you guys in the next video.